this was a powerful punch. When you first look at that, boom, bang, bang. First of all, you got to realize it's perfectly placed.
Yeah,
the accuracy's impeccable. Second of all, some people can just crack. And if you look at Conor's build, there's a lot of guys built like that can crack.
It's time to talk about this Irish guy from Dublin who changed the entire industry of mixed martial arts. The fighter who reignited this sport and set the highest quality standard. Today we are going to talk about the notorious one, the best of the best, the man who drew attention from millions of people around the world. Here he is, the notorious Conor McGregor and his full story. Dear friends, don't forget about the likes, comments with 4 words and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Childhood and youth. The story of this guy originates back in July 14th of 1988. Then, in the family of ordinary working-class people, Tony and Margaret McGregor, who lived in Crumlin, South District of Dublin, a second child was born, the boy. He was named Conor. At first, the little boy was interested in the most popular thing within his environment, football. He played for the children's team called Luders Celtic, while being a fan of Manchester United. As time passed, little Conor began to spend a lot of time in the streets, which inevitably led to many conflicts and brawls with his peers. Already back then, the boy realized that to achieve your goal or prove rightness, you must be able to stand up for yourself. Muhammad Ali was the first real fighter I admired. When I was 11 years old, I was watching him all the time. And one time I got into a fight on the street. I had a fence behind my back. Somebody punched me from the side. I moved my feet and I said, "Muhammad Ali," and threw a hook. The guy went down and rolled. I struck him with a knee and laid on him. And then his friends appeared. There were 6 of them and they kicked my ass. At the same age, the boy made a strong-willed decision to once and for all change the opinion of other people about himself. He visited a boxing gym of a local legend, Philip Sutcliffe, who took part in 2 Olympic Games.
Well, the start when he walked in here, he was given out. He walked in with his football boots and he came up and he started messing around with the bag, punching the bag. Now he was only about 10, right? He'd have been playing outside at Crumlin United, yeah. And one of the coaches says, "Take your boots off, son. Then you can start punching the bag." Stephen Kavanagh told him to take his boots off. And then he came in and started punching the bags again, right? And I think his mother had the boots or his father. I don't know who would say at the time, right? But I like there's so many kids come in here. He was just one of them, but
McGregor gradually left football and dedicated himself to mixed martial arts. At 15, the teenager moved with his family to the suburbs of Dublin, Lucan. He continued his persistent training at a new place by the side of his childhood friend, a beginning grappler and future UFC fighter, Tom Egan. Each training session brought something new into their lives, as Conor was learning the basics of jiu-jitsu while Tom was introduced to boxing. After graduating from middle school, our hero worked as a plumber for about a year. The job was ungrateful. There was not enough money. On top of that, he spent all of his free time doing it. Then young Conor made a second strong-willed decision in his life. He had to quit his job and dedicate all of his time to hard work in the gym. Meeting Dee Devlin. After a short period of time, the Notorious decided to compete in amateurs. In February of 2007, he fought Siren Campbell at Ring of Truth. Young Irishman needed only 1.5 minutes to finish his fellow countryman. He quickly took over the centre of the ring, fed him some precise shots and ended this fight with a spectacular first round TKO. Great start for a beginner fighter. Professional sport. On March the 8th, he debuted in the local organisation called the Cage of Truth. He was up against his countryman and a debutant as well, Gary Morris. Unfortunately, full tape of this fight can't be found on the internet. Considering the footage can be found on the internet, McGregor dismantled his opponent with no problems. According to the information available in the open access, this fight ended in the second round. Conor dominated in the stand-up throughout the entire bout, making his opponent shoot for the legs. Culmination came very quickly in the form of a knockout. The Irishman landed a great combination that wobbled Morris again. Harry tried to survive by wrestling Conor, but failed. McGregor defended the takedown and brutally hammered his opponents on the ground. Great finish. 2 months later, young Conor competed at Cage Rage, where Irish contenders were up against the same prospect from Belgium. He shared the cage with a fighter called Mo Taylor. The Irishman was translating an unshakable self-confidence already in the second fight, and his skills, despite a young age and an early stage, perfectly reinforced his main attributes. Young McGregor felt the distance brilliantly, changed range throughout the fight and landed strikes with surgical precision. With less than a minute into the fight, McGregor reacted to a takedown and pressed his vis-a-vis to the fence. Conor was turning up more with every second. He attacked, advanced and pressured. Taylor was simply helpless that night.
3 punches, go!
Soon, a similar scenario occurred at the opposite side of the fence. McGregor once again backed this young Belgian fighter with an incessant barrage of strikes. After another heavy bomb, Mo fell down and Conor went for a finish with even more urgency. He desperately tried to catch his hand with an armbar, but this attempt wasn't successful, and this beating continued. It was not very clear what the referee was thinking, as Taylor ate dozens of unanswered shots. Nonetheless, the fight was stopped only at the 3-minute mark. Conor McGregor scored his second TKO victory in the first round and extended his streak. A month later, at the same Cage of Truth, the Irishman faced Lithuania representative Artemis Sitenkov. Already back then, young McGregor was announced as notorious, and his walkout song was the same song that he uses now. So, the bell rang and fighters rushed forward. Artemis immediately tied the Irish fighter in the clinch and took this fight to the ground. He spent some time trying to execute a hand submission from the bottom position, but he didn't succeed and grabbed McGregor's knee. After some fussing, he finally managed to pull the lever and made young Conor tap in surrender. Thus, the lost via submission already in his third professional fight. Until his mother, Margaret McGregor, called John Kavanagh and asked for help. My mother played a key role in my career. When tough times came around and I didn't know what to do and considered leaving the sport, she called my coach. After they talked, he came over to our house and convinced me to start training again. I thank her for that every day. As a result, half a year later, in December of 2008, Conor McGregor appeared on the radar once again. He faced Stephen Bailey, who at that time had only one professional fight which he lost. This bout was held at the KO, the Fight Before Christmas event. Fighters fist bumped and the show began. McGregor went after his opponent again, reacted to every attack attempt from Bailey and effectively countered. His vis-a-vis tried to do something that resembled a takedown, but eventually got on bottom himself. Very soon, the Irishman advanced to a full mount position. from where he executed a vicious but dominant finish and got back on the winning track. Great performance. After that clash, young
support me, they deserve better, and I wish to give them that, and I will, and I am.
At that time, McGregor's native island was struck with the crisis. Young family barely met ends and the coach offered him a job. Conor taught boxing to young kids. That somewhat helped them to get out of a difficult situation. But either way, the next time he entered the octagon was only in October of 2010. He performed in a promotion called CFC, where he fought against his namesake from North Ireland, Conor Dillon. During preparations for this fight, McGregor plunged headlong into the ocean of motivational books and inspiring literature. One of such books was Rhonda Byrne's bestseller called Secret, given by his sister. It describes a certain law with the help of which thought can materialize and truly come to reality. Motivated and hungry for wins, McGregor pierced his opponent with a gaze right at the stare down, letting him know who the boss is and who this ring belongs to. Throughout 4 and some minutes, the Notorious One demonstrated true superiority. He completely took over the distance in this fight, increasing his confidence with every second. Only a guillotine from Dillon, though unsuccessful, managed to slightly tickle his nerves. Apart from that, young Conor surpassed his opponent in every aspect. Soon, he backed Dillon to the fence and brutally finished him, scoring a 4th professional win in 5 fights. Who would have thought this guy already at an early stage had a better stand-up than every opponent he was given? A month later, the Irishman made a debut attempt in a rather well-known organisation called Cage Warriors. At the 39th event, he shared the octagon with a future UFC fighter, Joseph Duffy. By the way, prior to his fight with the Notorious One, Duffy was on a 6-fight winning streak and already tried to debut in the world's best league a few months earlier. However, he lost to Kyle Watson, which was his first professional career setback.
My name is Conor McGregor and I live in Lucan.
And what's your status, or what's your professionalism?
I'm a professional MMA fighter with a record of 4-1. I'm an up-and-coming fighter, and without a doubt you will see me on the UFC in the near future, without a doubt. My opponent's name is Joseph Duffy. He's unbeaten. I think he's top 10 European undefeated, and Sherdog, and he's number 2. So we'll see about that. They can expect to see me pushing the pace, him with his back against the cage, looking for a way out, and then I'll finish him.
He's an aggressive striker. You know, he likes to cut off the ring, likes to push forward. You know, aggressive style. So, you know, I'm just going to go out and, you know, throw everything at him and hopefully come out with the right result.
Conor McGregor's debut in Cage Warriors happened to be his first career fight that was broadcasted on national television. It's a shame that his ascension to a new level wasn't successful. The fight lasted for only 38 seconds after the Notorious One pressed his opponent against the fence trying to land big shots. Duffy immediately grabbed his leg and took McGregor to the ground. Then he transitioned to an arm triangle. A few seconds later, and Conor surrenders. A second career loss after the beginning of a win streak in just a couple of months. Here is how the Notorious One commented on his defeat when he was on his way up a couple of years later.
I definitely have my eyes on Al Joe, so we'll see how he goes, but I would love nothing more than to KO him stiff and put him in the ground or send him back.
But the whole team of the young Irishman, including John Kavanagh, didn't know how he was going to react to another loss, considering a previous experience. Conor was silent on his way home. Everyone was even ready for him not returning to the gym. However, McGregor surprised again. The next day, he was already training in the gym and personally asked Kavanagh to help him correct the mistakes. Because shit happens one way or another. Already in 3 months, he performed at CFC, where he faced Hugh Brady. Charged up McGregor dismantled his opponent in less than a round. He didn't give him any chances to work on the feet and knocked him down with a vicious uppercut. Soon it was followed with a finish, after which the Notorious One returned in the win column. The next victim of a future star was Mike Wood. 2 months later, he shared the octagon with a motivated Irishman and felt his power in full capacity. This time around, McGregor needed only 16 seconds to send the English fighter into the shadow realm. The Irishman literally assaulted him right from the start with an unstoppable storm of strikes and beat a whole wheel to win out of his opponent. After that, he completely destroyed Paddy Doherty in April of 2011. As we can see, the Irishman planned his return quite thoroughly and knocked his opponent out cold in 4 seconds. What is especially remarkable is that many compare this performance with the one that will happen 4 years later for the UFC Championship, in the fight against the legendary Jose Aldo. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. At Clash of the Giants 2 in June of 2011, the Irishman competed with the fighter from Poland, Artur Sowiński. Guys put up a real war in the main event of the evening. The name of this event truly spoke for itself. The first round was very dynamic. Fighters constantly changed levels and showcased an uncompromised war every single second of the fight. But in the second round, McGregor completely snatched the initiative. In one of the sequences at the fence, Signature left viciously slayed the Polish fighter, making him go down. And after this point, there was no escaping. The Irishman advanced to a full mount with no hesitation and finished his opponent in brutal fashion, earning his 4th stoppage win in a row. A decent win streak granted the young Irishman a second opportunity to perform in Cage Warriors. Already back then, after receiving another offer from a big organization, the Notorious One set up a goal to conquer the vacant Featherweight Championship. Return of the Notorious One at CWFC took place on September 8th of 2011. He was up against a tough fighter from Norway, Aaron Jensen.
Well, I've been preparing for my previous opponent, so I don't really know much about this new opponent, so I'm just going to go in with an open mind and fight wherever the fight goes.
The Norwegian didn't show anything worthy in that bout. All of his attempts to take this fight to the ground were completely unsuccessful.
Oh, lovely scramble forward from Aaron Johansson, big pickup on the single leg, and fantastic balance from Conor McGregor, keeping himself on the feet.
When the fight's distance got over the equator, Conor already studied his opponent and made all the necessary actions to achieve his goal.
Left knee to the rib, he was sitting in that side wedge position, but now just pinning the head and landing big strikes is Conor McGregor. Jansson's going to have to do something here.
And that's it, Neil.
A second debut attempt at CW was successfully completed. From that moment, the Irishman began to work in the gym with total commitment. He literally couldn't stop training. Regularly drilled different series and combinations on the pads, but he also didn't forget to invest time in grappling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The next appearance of the Notorious One inside Cage Warriors happened in February of 2012 under the aegis of Ireland versus England. His opponent was the English fighter Steve O'Keefe, who not only was on a winning streak, but was also honoured to share the octagon with one of the best fighters in the history of this sport, Artem Lobov, who would soon become one of Conor's closest friends. As soon as the referee started the fight, Steve desperately jumped for Conor's legs and did his best to take him to the ground. But luck wasn't on his side that night. Not only did McGregor stop the takedown at the fence, but he also found a way to end this fight in a brutal and dominant manner without even moving.
Good underhooks into defense, and again the inside elbows coming in. Becoming very effective this evening.
A couple of heavy elbows to the head did their job and earned the Irishman his 6th consecutive win. And on top of that, an opportunity to fight for the desired title. The fight between Conor McGregor and Dave Hill for the Featherweight Championship took place on June the 12th at Cage Warriors 47. This bout was held in Dublin, which meant that the whole crowd was on the side of the new Irish rising star.
I'm ready. Trust me on that, I'm ready. He's going to know in there
that it's another level for him. That's the way I see it. I see he's gonna know pretty early that he's in there with someone that he's not gonna be able to handle.
While the referee instructed fighters on the main rules, Conor, in his favourite manner, which would very soon become his trump card, began talking to his opponent before the fight started, explaining to him who he is, what he's going to do with him, and that he doesn't belong here. To many people's surprise, the fight went to a second round. The Englishman should be given credit for his endurance as he weathered a lot of significant strikes. However, he couldn't survive the next round. McGregor won at the 4-minute mark. But what was more interesting is that it was the one and only time in his professional career when he managed to win via submission.
Cage Warriors, he wins a featherweight belt.
He choked Dave Hill out in the second round and became Cage Warriors featherweight champion.
I'm on to a nice, I have a good fight ahead of me now, September 1st against an American, Jim Ayler. So just keep training, same as always. I train hard. This next one's now 6 weeks from tonight.
As the Irishman said himself, after winning the title bout, he planned to defend it against Jim Ayler. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, McGregor's injury to be exact, this fight had to be cancelled. Dana White was so impressed with the young talent that he had to ride with Conor around the city, discussing the contract. After the meeting with White, Conor was offered Marcus Brimage on April's UFC on Fuel TV event in 2013. Another interesting fact, the event was supposed to be held in Sweden, which required a lot of money for plane tickets to get there. Conor was once again saved by the coach John Kavanagh. He lent the young guy the rest of the money he needed.
I'm definitely going to carry the Irish flag, there's no doubt about it. To me, that's what dreams are, you know, that's what my dreams are, carrying that flag in there and representing my country. There's too many fake just carrying other flags and it's supposed to be Irish and blah blah blah. I know where I'm from, you know what I mean? I'm going to go out and represent my countrymen.
See, we're doing this thing where we're getting everybody's name together from your actual voice, so that our announcers pronounce your name for it.
Conor McGregor.
One more time.
Conor McGregor.
Thank you very much.
The Irishman came into this fight without a sponsor. He couldn't find one and had to enter the octagon in his own black shorts. McGregor dismantled Marcus Brimage in 1 minute. He made a true sensation in the crowd and delivered an already winged line in the post-fight interview.
Dana, 60 G's, baby!
For this fight, the Irishman made more money than in his whole 24 years of life, because apart from his standard contract paycheck, he also got an additional $60,000 as the performance of the night bonus. Interesting fact, UFC and came. Before him, of course, there was his childhood friend Tom Egan. However, he suffered a loss in the debut, while Notorious decisively broke into the major promotion.
Let me put it this way. I'm blown away. First of all, it's his first fight ever in the UFC. He walked out tonight and got into the octagon like it was his 100th fight in the UFC. From the minute the bell started, he was nice and relaxed, moved around. And even after, he gets the knockout, it's like he's been here before and done it 100 times. Kid is totally relaxed. He's a beast. I'm impressed.
No, whatever. I just want to be kept busy. Competition keeps me focused. And anytime I don't have competition ahead of me, I just seem to drift. You know what I mean? So I want to be kept busy, and that's it. Just whatever, wherever and whenever. You know.
The next one for the Notorious in the main octagon happened to be a young but not yet blessed Max Holloway. They shared the cage 4 months after his debut at UFC Night Fight 26. One of the most remarkable fights in McGregor's career happened on August the 17th of 2013. Initially, his opponent was supposed to be a fighter from England called Andy Ogle, but he had to pull out due to an injury. A very young but nonetheless damn dangerous Max asked to replace him.
Not at all. It is what it is. He got hype, man, and I just can't wait to Saturday night. We get to mix it up.
I don't really care about what people say, hype, good or bad. When the door shuts, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go at my opponent, and we're going to exchange. And that's it. The result is not in my thoughts. I'm just going to go out and perform and do what I do day in, day out, and have fun, you know. I'm living the dream right now, so I'm a happy man.
If you ask, why is this fight so notable as Conor won by a regular decision? Here's the answer. In this fight, McGregor demonstrated a wondrous spirit, power, forbearance and character that not everybody possesses. And it was this fight where the Notorious tore his knee ligaments, an injury that's on the list of the most dangerous ones for an athlete. And that didn't stop him from dominating Holloway for the whole 3 rounds from start to finish. He earned a decisive unanimous decision victory, beating Max up throughout the whole fight. The ease of which he outstruck all of his opponents still impresses the fans of the Irishman's striking technique.
And that's it, you know, I was forced to change it up. I'm not, you know, the finish was there for me. I was more than capable of putting him away. And he's a tough guy, he took some shots and I don't know, 3 rounds in the bag, that place was green out there.
Due to torn cruciate ligaments, the MMA community missed the Irishman for almost a year. Only in July of the next year did McGregor manage to recover and prepare for the next fight. But in comparison to many guys, Conor, despite the injury, was only turning up more. Everybody was talking about him, so he decided to make hay while the sun shines. He continued to post on Twitter, stayed active, and even despite the layoff, his name was quite sound in the media. And that's exactly what gave McGregor an opportunity to headline an event in just his 3rd UFC fight. This show was held in Conor's hometown Dublin. The UFC gave the Notorious a green light to be a key figure on this card, headlining it alongside Diego Brandao.
Yeah, it's a dream come true to be back here on my nation on the map. As you heard, 99% of the population are going to watch this fight. The country was shut down for this fight. We're on terrestrial TV. I don't think there's a fighter that in the UFC's history that has done what I've done in the space that I've done it. And Saturday night when I go out there and put Diego away in the first round, I'll prove my worth.
Well, as far as danger, people say he starts strong and he dies down after that, but me personally, I don't think he's even going to start strong. I think straight from the bell he's going to feel pressure like he's never felt before. He's going to be on the back foot. He's going to see shots happening that he's never seen before. He'll have his back against that fence from the bell and I'll press him and press him and press him and crack him with shots that he hasn't felt, and then ultimately he will crumble, and I do believe he won't get out of the first round.
In this fight, McGregor already had a more familiar appearance for the viewer, with a signature gorilla tattoo on his chest and a deadly weapon in the left hand. As the Irishman said himself, Diego Brandao was indeed not able to stay on his feet at least for 1 round. Already by the 4th minute of the first round, the Notorious one put an exclamation mark with a famous Irish left. (3-0) in the UFC, and an 11-fight winning streak continues.
No, honestly, I said I was going to put him away in the first round. I put him away in the first round.
It's a dream come true, and to walk out there and the noise of that crowd, like, it actually got so loud that it wasn't sound anymore. It was like a buzz. It was like a buzzing. Like it went past sound. It was phenomenal. You know, the Irish.
After Diego, McGregor faced a young prospect with great ambitions, Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Poirier just tweeted UFC 178 sounds good to me. End of September. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be perfect for me, because I already know that guy does not want to fight. His teammate Cole Miller, they're from the same camp, pulled out of the fight. He was scheduled to be here to compete tonight, but he pulled out. And you're trying to tell me that Dustin Poirier, top 10 guy, and Nick Lentz, a top 10 guy, both of whom had no fight scheduled, didn't know about Cole's injury? They would have known before the UFC would have known. They would have heard about the UFC, or they would have heard that Cole was pulling out before the UFC would have heard. And yet nothing. They didn't campaign for it. This is a main event slot. One of the fastest selling, you know what I mean? It's a big event, but yet.
2 months later, this fight took place in the co-main event of the evening at UFC 178 in September of 2014.
You know, I'm just being myself. This is who I am. I like to look good and whoop ass. It's what I do best. You know, I'm not trying to be nobody but me. You know, September 27th, I'm gonna rip Dustin's head clean off. You know, it makes no difference about nothing. Dustin, a little pea head. Dustin thinks it's all talk. Dustin thinks it's all talk, but when he wakes up with his nose plastered on the other side of his face, he's gonna know it's not all talk.
Conor's a good athlete. He's quick, he's a good counterpuncher, but he has a lack of experience of fighting real fighters like myself. And you know, that's gonna be on full display September 27th. I'm prepared and I'm ready, man. And he's never faced anybody like me. I perform on a different frequency than he's used to.
His weakness is obviously his chin. You know, look, don't get me wrong, I like the kid. He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back ass of nowhere. You know, I've nothing against the guy, you know what I mean? I'm sure he grew up in a circus or a fair, you know, he's a nice little kid. So, Cletus, or, you know, his cousin's probably named Cletus or something. I don't know, he's a nice kid. But his chin is gonna be cracked, and it's gonna be cracked early.
You ain't shit, boy. You ain't shit. Yeah, you ain't shit. What's up?
That's good.
What's up?
Prior to this fight, the Notorious One got into Young Diamond's head. He put on a true verbal warfare and broke Dustin Poirier's confidence in his powers. A very young fighter was not ready for such a pressure, due to which he couldn't control his emotions, what can be seen from his behavior at the weigh-ins and during stare-downs.
I've never fought a guy that douchey. You know? I've never disliked somebody that much that I've ever fought. Yeah.
Some people like to hate on that, but that's not my problem. You know, I show up and I show up ready to fight, so they are rewarding me for it. But again, Saturday night I will go in and prove my wood once again. Like time and time again, I will prove my wood every single time.
The fight between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier was truly sensational. The Irishman needed only 106 seconds to knock Diamond out cold with a double straight. Conor did it again and drew even more attention to his persona.
I don't just knock them out, I picked the round. So I said I'd knock him out in the first round, and I knocked him out in the first round. You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
No, in the ring he was humble. You know, Dustin is a good kid. I had no ill feelings towards Dustin.
Mystic Mac's next victim happened to be an older fighter, but nonetheless the number 10 ranked featherweight Dennis Siver. His meeting with the impudent Irishman took place in the main event of the evening at UFC Fight Night in Boston on January the 18th of 2015.
It is a mismatch. I'm gonna whoop his ass, I'm gonna collect the checks, and then I'm gone.
At this press conference, the journalist asked Conor about Jose Aldo. As you can see, the Irishman set up a ground for this future fight in advance.
It was a traditional Thai style contest. You hit me, I hit you. Both competitors were very similar in styles, and that is why the contest was what it was. I posed different movements and different reactions than anybody on the roster, not just the division. So I am highly confident I will shut Jose Aldo down in spectacular fashion and take over the game. I say it how I want to say it, yeah? The king speaks however he wants.
I believe 2 minutes is a fair prediction to give my opponent, judging by his reactions and his reactions under pressure and his particular set of movements. I feel that the shot I need to land will happen 3 or 4 times over in that first 2 minute frame. So.
During the stare-down before the start of the fight, the Irishman reached his hand to his opponent as a sign of respect, but got dismissed. The reaction was immediate, at first as a middle finger and then as a humiliating fighting manner. And indeed, Conor got the job done already at the 2nd minute of the first fight, but in the 2nd round. But in all fairness, he didn't pick the round before the fight, and overall the fight was one-sided. Mac beat Dennis Siver up and finished that scrap via TKO.
He had nothing for me, and not one of them have anything for me. So I'm not satisfied. Satisfaction is an emotion for the middle, for the people left in the mid-tier. So I don't get satisfied. I'm coming out. I'll watch the contest back. I'll pick a load of stuff from it. I'll learn from it, and then I'll come back and I'm going to kill Jose Aldo and take that belt.
After smashing Dennis Siver and getting his 4th bonus in 5 UFC fights, Conor earned his title opportunity. At that moment, the title belonged to the legendary Brazilian Jose Aldo, who hadn't lost in 10 years and had 7 successful defenses. But Conor made predictions in his usual style on how he would knock the champion out.
I'm going to go in, I'm going to break him, I'm going to be on top of him from the bell. Yeah, I think around the 4-minute mark of the first round, I feel I will knock him out, yeah. If he shows up, I feel I will KO him inside one. If he makes that walk and if he is in the octagon, I feel every single movement I make will get an overreaction off of him because he's emotionally invested in it. There's too much in it for him. The whole country of Brazil, it's all piling on him. So I feel if I just go, he will react a million times too much. So that's what I see the fight playing now. I feel him overreacting, overextending, and then being KO'd unconscious.
In preparation for this fight, the Irishman injured his knee, and then it became known that Aldo hurt his rib and he doesn't want to fight with such an injury. During the meeting with the UFC, Conor definitively stated that he doesn't want...
I am happy to be here and I am happy to be representing my country on this stage. I am happy to be giving the UFC a $7.1 million gate because it is me who is giving them this gate, nobody else. Realistically, Dave here shouldn't even be up here. I should be on that podium. I should be standing right there. That should be my spot, and Dave, maybe you should sit here. Because it's me who's at the bringing all this. $7.1 million gate, highest numbers every time. We have superstars singing us into the octagon. Who do you think got that? Me.
I mean, in my opinion, Conor is a very one-dimensional fighter. He's a long southpaw stand-up fighter. He doesn't have wrestling, he doesn't have jiu-jitsu. You know, you wipe all that hype out of here, I'm gonna get in there and destroy this dude.
I'm looking to go in there and represent my nation and fight with pride, and I'm gonna kill this man across from me. He's a little 5'2" twerp. He should have kept his mouth shut, and I'm gonna slap the face off him, and that's it.
Interesting fact, according to trustworthy sources, the Irishman believed in his win over Chad Mendes so much, the Notorious already solidified himself in history because of this fight, became the interim featherweight champion in the UFC, and began to patiently wait for the undisputed championship bout.
I can't put into words how grateful I am for everyone to support me and follow me. It's why I still showed up here. So much went on during the build-up to this. So much media obligation. I travel around the world twice and done 2 takes, one in case it was Jose and one in case it was Chad. There was so many crazy mixed emotions.
It's been a long road here. The question never really bothered me, that question, you know. I knew what I could do.
Half a year later, the most anticipated fight in the MMA community and the whole world, incredibly self-confident Conor McGregor against the legendary Brazilian champion Jose Aldo, finally came to fruition. To be extremely brief but substantial in describing the hype around this clash, just a few sentences and interviews will be enough to refresh your memory. Let's start with the latter.
Yeah, I feel within 4 minutes the shots will have landed. It's on him after that. I feel anything after that 4-minute mark of the first round will be a formality. It will be on him where he is mentally, where he is physically, and how much he truly wants this. I see him crumbling towards the end of the first, or not answering the bell for the second, but it will be wrapped up inside one.
Little Brazilian. Ooh, vamos, hey. What you got to say now, face to face, man to man? What you got to say? You got nothing to say. You've got nothing to say, face to face. Give me that, special in that. Otario, 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 Otario. You know what that means?
He took this can of Monster Energy from this table and said, come and get it. I drill it through his head.
Yeah, what you gonna do? You wanna do something? You wanna do something? You wanna do something? You're Brazilian. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
It's also worth mentioning that at that moment, McGregor and Aldo were participating in the 22nd season of the Ultimate Fighter show. And that's exactly where it was announced that this fight is targeted for the end of 2015.
I honestly, the first thing I said to him was, wow, I didn't think I'd see you again. So I was actually happy to see him. I shook his hand, I embraced him, I gave him a little cuddle, I told him everything's gonna be A-OK. it will be over before you know it. Just please show up December 12th. So I don't want to scare him anymore. He's petrified. He went running before. So now I'm going to take the opposite approach. Cuddle him, look after him, whisper sweet nothings, tell him it's going to be all right. It will be over quick.
Prior, we overviewed the rivalry between the notorious and diamond Dustin Poirier, who Conor broke verbally, but in this case, the Irishman literally set the whole Brazil against himself. He treated the dominant champion like he was not terrorizing the whole division for the past 10 years, but simply wiped the floors for them after every tournament. He went so over the top with his insolence, flatulence and cockiness that Aldo literally exploded every time they met in person. He hated Conor. He couldn't understand why this Irishman is so confident. He became scared of him, which was another reason for his treatment. The Brazilian wanted retribution, vicious and merciless. And this day finally came.
Conor relaxed and smiling. Oh! He slapped him! Conor McGregor is the new UFC Featherweight Champion of the world!
Conor McGregor made a true sensation in mixed martial arts. He knocked out the unstoppable Jose Aldo in just 13 seconds. For some, it's just a moment in time, but for Conor McGregor and the whole sport, it was an unbelievable achievement. Conor became a superstar of unattainable level, while UFC got tons of new fans and following thanks to the outrageous and undoubtedly charismatic personality of the Irishman. Notorious set the world record for the fastest finish in the title bout. It was so magical that even now 7 years later, it's still hard to put in words how huge that was.
Again, nobody can take that left-hand shot, but I tell you, he's powerful and he's fast. But precision beats power and timing beats speed, and that's what you saw there.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here. I'd like to thank, on behalf of myself and the promotion, thank all the media members for all the work that they put in. We're extremely grateful. Tonight was a phenomenal night. $10.1 million gate, the highest pay-per-view of the year. We've done it again. It's been a great year for myself, my team, my family, the promotion. I'd like to congratulate the UFC, everyone at the UFC that puts in all the hard work behind the scenes. Again,
McGregor's hype after this fight grew by the day in geometrical progression. But when the video with the Irishman in the locker room drilling this exact same combination appeared on the internet, limits of his popularity simply vanished. This guy became a cult person in MMA. That's why the younger generation now most often associates this sport with him. It seemed like that on such a high note, he could grow even further from a professional standpoint, get better as a fighter and make progress. But as history will show, from that moment on begins a gradual decline of Conor McGregor as an MMA fighter. The fall of Conor McGregor. The first cause of upcoming changes in the Irishman's career began to appear before his fights with Chad Mendes and Jose Aldo. Conor was often seen at different parties and clubs and usually in inadequate states apart from alcoholic intoxication. And that's one of the most common problems of popular athletes. A lot of fighters from different eras found themselves in a situation when their fame and finances increased so much that it led to them breaking the discipline and indulging into bad habits. And unfortunately, McGregor was not an exception. But all of that has an accumulative effect, and despite that harmful weakness, the Irishman was still able to compete in the highest level and win. So let's get back to fighting. As he conquered the desired featherweight championship, Notorious aimed to conquer the belt in the lightweight division, where Rafael dos Anjos was the champion at that time. The UFC liked that idea, and matchmakers were in a hurry to organize a historical fight between two active champions.
And this man across from me has a title. He has nothing else but that. He is a free TV fighter. He has nothing else to offer me except that gold belt. Yeah, listen, cut out all this other stuff and I'd go through the whole roster in 4 months. And I tell you that right now, I'll whoop every single one of them inside 4 months if you cut out all this other shit.
But at the very last moment, Dos Anjos injured his leg and was replaced by Nate Diaz. Because of the rush and impossibility to make a needed weight, it was decided to hold this fight inside the welterweight class. To briefly describe the upcoming atmosphere around this rivalry, let's rewind the clock and refresh one important moment in history. After a year-long layoff, the Stocktonian returned to the octagon in December of 2015 at UFC on Fox 17 and beat Michael Johnson with a huge advantage. In the post-fight interview, he delivered an already legendary speech towards the Irishman.
Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for, I'm gonna fight your You know what's the real fight, what's the real money fight is me.
As a result, the stars aligned in his favor and he came out to fight the Notorious One on a short notice. Here are the main highlights of this great rivalry.
Hey Conor, Nate, it's Jane Wells with CNBC. How are you?
Very good, how are you?
I'm going to talk about money because we are the business network and the business of the UFC and all that
I'll take
sort of
over
stuff.
from here, Nate. You can bounce. Take a coffee break, Nate. And by coffee break, I mean bring me my coffee.
No. They want you to give us a quick count to 10, both of you gentlemen, if you don't mind, just if you wouldn't mind counting to 10.
Nate can only count to 5. 10. Count to 5, Nate, will you, if you can?
Count.
Who you up with that coffee?
I ain't counting. How about
and
that?
who are you up with that coffee? You broke. I could buy and sell you 100 times over.
They're all on
The only
steroids.
weight I care about.
They're all on steroids.
The only weight I care
Everybody.
about. Steroids? What are you talking about? Steroids? Don't be putting my name as steroids. I'm majored against that. Don't put my name in the name of steroids, Nate. I'm not on no steroids. What the f are you talking about? Your two teammates were on steroids. That's your two boys, the scrap pack. Remember that? What happened to them? They were. Did you know they were taking that stuff? Did you know they were taking that stuff? Did you?
You're on steroids.
It's another day for me. One pulls out, another one steps in. I'm used to it. I was just giggling at his little soft body. I've never seen a skinny guy. How can a fat guy be so skinny at the same time? It amuses me, but I'm looking forward to go in there, put the martial arts back into the game. Weight should never be an issue.
The hype around this fight was stunning. Everybody expected that it would be a vivid and spectacular fight, but nobody betted on the Stocktonian. Everybody believed that Conor 100% was going to win. That aura of invincibility around him didn't leave any chances to every single one of his opponents. However, things turned out quite unexpectedly. McGregor underestimated Nate's skills and was not ready to fight at an uncommon weight class. In the second round, the Irishman got hit with a combination of flush strikes and took this fight to the ground in an attempt to survive, but quickly lost the position, gave his back to the BJJ master and tapped in surrender because of the submission choke. Nate Diaz pulled off one of the biggest upsets in the history of the sport. He did what many other athletes couldn't do. He stopped McGregor's win streak and cooled down his impudent temper.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Despite his outrageousness and arrogance, Conor McGregor took this loss like a man and immediately expressed his interest in the rematch.
I took the chance going at 170, but Nate came in. He was, I felt it took him the...
But Nate took them very well. This is the fight business. It's another day. I'll come back.
As a result, after a while, it was announced that the second fight between the impudent son of Stockton and the Notorious One is planned to take place at UFC 200. This anniversary tournament was also supposed to feature Brock Lesnar in his return. There even was the first press conference, which the Irishman did not attend. However, due to circumstances, the bout was rescheduled to an already familiar to all of us UFC 202 event.
Yeah, it's good to be back here in Vegas to check out the T-Mobile Arena. I'm looking forward to it. I feel the last contest was a great fight. I have my reasons why I feel the fight went the way it went, and now I have an opportunity to prove what I am saying, like I've proved many times before, that what I say is correct. So I look forward to August 20th, where I will come in correct, prepared, sharp, and I will take this man out. All my sparring partners are 6 foot plus. I'm sparring middleweights for this contest, so I'll feel that extra weight. I'll understand that I must piece the shots together well. I'm going to go in and do what I always do. I'm going to go out, press forward, have that man backed up, similar to the way I had him backed up in the last fight, and I'm going to tee off on him.
It was the first press conference for the upcoming tournament. During the second one, with not much time left before the event, the atmosphere was a lot more spiraled up.
Shut your mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Not one of you will do nothing. Get the out of here. Get the out of here. He should have killed me when he had the chance, because now I'm back and I'm going to kill you and your whole team. You and them kids.
Conor took the rematch very seriously, but still couldn't knock out the Stocktonian gangster. 2 out of 3 judges gave McGregor 3 out of 5 rounds, and according to the third judge, it was a draw. It was the first fight in McGregor's career where he sometimes clearly stepped back, avoiding the fight with runs to the opposite side of the cage. But no matter what anybody says, the Irishman avenged an upsetting loss and returned to the win column.
Surprise, surprise. The king is back. They all doubt me. Every one of you doubt me. Woo, doubt me now. Man's war. Doubt me now. Doubt me now. Surprise, surprise. The king is back. Surprise, surprise. The king is back. I've had to say that in months. I held that in my head in months I was going to say that. Surprise, surprise. The king is back. They all doubt me. They all doubt me. They all doubt me. Doubt me now. Doubt me now.
This was a hell of a important fight for me. Everyone from the media to the fighters wrote me off this one. So they tried to say if I lose this one I'm done. They tried to discredit the fact that I'm going up in weight.
At the same time, with the huge rivalry between Conor and Diaz, the name of lightweight champion has changed. Eddie Alvarez unexpectedly knocked Rafael dos Anjos out in the first incomplete round, but the American couldn't hold the title for too long. Conor McGregor, empowered by the win in the rematch, already aimed at that gold. The fight was put together. It was supposed to happen in November of 2016 at UFC 205.
I'm very happy with the 155-pound weight limit. I feel of all the divisions I've ran around and ran through, 155 I feel will be the one where I will take over the most, so I look forward to that. You know, I feel Eddie, I've nothing against
Careful, be careful.
I've nothing against Edward. Or what? Or what?
Careful.
What you gonna do? Or what? You gonna do something over there?
Be careful.
Shut your mouth. I run New York. I run this whole shit. And Mystic Mac predicts I'm gonna KO you inside 1 round. Listen, the Irish, we built this damn town. You know what I'm saying? Serious. We built this city. Now we're back. Now we're coming to claim what's ours, so it's an honor to be here. Coming in here listening to all these fans. It truly is a dream come true. I cannot wait to perform for you. I'm gonna take out one of your own. I'm gonna cash your own money. But make no mistake, it's all love. The Irish love New York, and I'm honored to be here.
This guy got 8 minutes of fighting him, that's it. He quits after 8 minutes, every fight. He's not a championship fighter, he's never been. And he's never, ever fought anyone in UFC like me, ever. Here he is.
Sorry I'm late, I just don't give up.
Let's go.
The Irishman showcased true dominance in that clash. He was in the best shape ever. It was shocking to see how badly he picked Alvarez apart. Every time McGregor landed, Eddie got knocked down. It was a real outclass without any chances. But this humiliation ended only after an 8-minute mark. Conor McGregor finished Eddie Alvarez and became the first ever double champion in the UFC's history. Monumental performance.
Listen, I've spent a lot of time, Joe, slating everybody in the company. Backstage, I'm starting fights off everybody. I've ridiculed everyone on the roster. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
Look, it feels great. It feels familiar. I saw it so clearly. I swear to God, I saw it so clearly, so consistently, until it's here in reality.
As he achieved his dream, Conor left the sport. His motivation was to spend time with his family, and he announced happy news. Him and Dee Devlin are expecting a child. After a while, as he lost some interest in MMA and decided to monetize his fame to a full extent, the Irishman put up a 12-round match with the best boxer in the history of the sport, undefeated Floyd Mayweather. A special WBC title, Money Belt, was at stake.
Conor McGregor, so
There already were some rumors on this rivalry, and as we can see, the legendary boxer also not shying away from a super fight and making tons of money.
That's what makes this the biggest fight in combat sports history. I do. You laugh, but I do. Listen, when you put two people anywhere, here, anywhere, and they start throwing punches, anything is possible.
Soon, this dream match was finally announced.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reigning, defending, 155-pound champion of the UFC, the notorious Conor McGregor.
King of boxing.
This is Bruce Lee.
McGregor looked rather good being in the ring with a professional boxer and even managed to stun him a few times throughout the fight. He won one round and made it to the 10th one. Despite the outcome and overall dominance from Mayweather, the public was still impressed with McGregor's boxing skills, which are not usually common for MMA fighters.
The crowd is amazing every time. The fans really love it. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy that I can come and give a fight for the fans, because there's a lot of fights that don't live up to it. Do you know what I mean? I came, gave it my best. It was a good fight. Thought I smoked them the early rounds. I thought I'd bust you up the early rounds, but I tell you what, you're one composed individual. You didn't get rattled. You tucked in when you needed to tuck in. I thought you switched up your game plan 3 times. You came out looking to box. I thought you were being outboxed early on.
Pretty much this whole time, and we're not talking about fighting tonight, you know. He put on a great performance. We're not talking about fighting. You know how he is, man. When he's ready, he'll let me know.
Throughout this whole time, there will be various spicy headlines and footage in the media featuring McGregor. Frequent bar busters and riotous lifestyle did some damage to the reputation of the notorious one, but the epitome of his outrageous image was friendship that turned into the uncompromised rivalry with Khabib Nurmagomedov. That conflict became one of the biggest ones in MMA history. Let's briefly overview some of the main moments. Most resources state that the origin of this conflict is a comment made 5 years earlier by Artem Lobov, where he defended the Irishman, calling Khabib a chicken who he might slap if he sees him in person. It's worth mentioning that it was a response to the question from a journalist. Journalist: does Conor hear any comments that Khabib makes about him, like he tapped like chicken and stuff like that? Legend: well, I'll tell you one thing. Conor fought Mendes on one leg. 12 weeks before the fight, he tore his knee ligaments again. Conor accepted that fight. He went out there and won, while Khabib pulls out for the 6th time. A little pain in his butt or elsewhere, he pulls out. He can't even make weight. He doesn't care about the fans that came to see him from Russia. How much time it takes just to get a visa. People spent money, flew over to see him, and he didn't come out? and not one time, not 2, 3 or 4 times. And who is the chicken here? Who is scared? Conor goes out every time no matter what. He is a true fighter. He is a true champion. Have you ever seen Conor pull out of the fight? Injuries and other issues with weight cutting happens to everybody. But one is the champion and comes out no matter what. And the other is a chicken and pulls out every time.
Hey guys, Irish only 6 million, Russian 150 million. I wanna fight with your chicken because this is #1 easy fight in lightweight division.
Interestingly, after Artem Lobov made these statements, when he asked Khabib about the RT interview, he said, "I don't have any issues with Khabib. If I said something about him, it was only in response to his comments. No animosity or disrespect. It's just business." And there it is, anticipation for UFC 223. Nobody talks about some conflict between Conor and Khabib, and everybody even forgot about Lobov's words. Everybody except Khabib. When he met Lobov in the hall of the press center, Khabib started a second wave of this conflict. He jumps Artem with his team, slapping him in humiliating fashion. Barely any foreign journalist could understand the implication of this altercation in Russia. As for Lobov, he was very scared in the video. Khabib asked him, "Hey, you said that I'm a coward?" To which Lobov replied in hesitation, "No, I didn't say that." It's hard to say if Lobov was scared to back his words up in this situation, or he really couldn't remember in such a critical situation that he said many months ago. And then this happens. Conor assaults the bus with the Dagestani and his whole team on it. He protects his friend but goes over the top. Many people that are not involved in this conflict got injured and were forced to pull out of their upcoming fights. Is McGregor right in this situation? Depends on how you look at it. As a celebrity, no, but as a friend, yes. It wasn't him who started that war, and he wasn't the first one to cross the line, and perhaps he would be right either way if this conflict did not affect other people. Cancellation of a number of fights because of the personal conflict is a catastrophe, and Conor had to answer for that. The Irishman got sued. He pleaded guilty and was found guilty of violating the public order. He was sentenced to 5 days of community service due to debauchery and had to attend anger management sessions. But more importantly, McGregor avoided criminal charges, and that meant that the UFC would take over this conflict and organize a big fight. And that's exactly what happened. It was announced that in October of 2018 at UFC 229, these guys will face each other in the octagon.
Come here, send me a message like location, I'm gonna come.
I came back for the love of this, to come and shut this man up. A little rat, a little weasel, a little hard man in groups.
He never hesitated to say anything, but it was way too much this time round. He made it personal, insulted Khabib's family and his religion, provoked him and said many other things. The most important thing is the fight itself and what happened afterwards. The fight between two main UFC stars took place in Las Vegas. Conor almost defended against the first takedown from Nurmagomedov, but still lost the starting round. After the break, McGregor got knocked down for the first time in his career as he couldn't react to Khabib's overhand. The third round was all about the stand-up, and McGregor became the first one to win a round in UFC against the champion from Dagestan. But in the fourth round, the champion pushed the pace, took Conor down and executed a neck crank, making him tap. After the fight, chaos erupted. There was a real brawl in the cage between the teams, started by Nurmagomedov, who after his win went after Conor's teammate Dylan Dennis. He climbed over the cage and jumped straight into the crowd. The biggest event in UFC history ended on a crazy note, after which a few fighters were instantly suspended, including Conor and Khabib.
First of all, I want to say sorry to Athletic Commission, Nevada, sorry to Vegas. I know this is not my best side. This is not my best side. I'm human being.
As we can see, after a 2-year layoff, the Irishman is not the same as he used to be. If we compare Conor of 2018 with a version that fought against Eddie Alvarez, there is an evident stagnation. harmful lifestyle severely affected McGregor's abilities. There is no hunger anymore, no fire in his eyes, no steam or will to win, and after losing to Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Notorious One left the MMA world for another 2 years. For that time, the Irishman made a couple of retirement announcements. Sure, rumours were already there, but not directly from Conor. On top of that, there will be information on the internet that the Irishman is systematically involved in scandals and conflicts. A couple of such really infamous episodes have a following content. In March of 2019, McGregor grabbed the fan's phone at the parking lot and smashed it on the ground, but that wasn't his limit. In August, McGregor punched an elderly man to the face for his refusal to try his whiskey at the bar. This news simply broke the internet. Conor got overwhelmed with a storm of critique and hate. This incident did too much damage to his reputation. It seemed like this guy was done. However, in August of 2019, McGregor announced in an interview that he is planning to come back.
Sometimes it kind of takes me back, but I have to realise that that's not the attitude or the behaviour of a leader, of a martial artist, of a champion. So I must get my head screwed on and just get back in the game and fight for redemption, retribution, respect. Whatever, I just wanted to compete now. Enough is enough. Let's get me back in the mix. It's a forgetful business, Harold. You know that yourself. I mean, sure, look, Nate was out of the game and now he's back and he's on top. It's a crazy business we are in, but make no mistake, the skills are there for me, and I know what I can bring to the table and what I will bring to the table, and I'm very, very excited to give my fans something to cheer about again. You know what I mean? I do this for my fans, for the people that are supporting me.
At UFC 246 on January the 18th of 2020, McGregor really returned to the game. He faced the veteran Donald Cerrone.
Not bad, less than that.
Come on, the fight's getting close. I'm getting focused now. I want to fight. It's an exciting bout. It's a fan-friendly bout. It's a fight that excites me, and it's a fight that I said I'd partake, and I appreciate it.
In the threshold of this fight, there were no insults from the Irishman towards Cowboy, and it was no less interesting for the fans, as Notorious has his nickname for having an outrageous and villainous image. However, this time everything was mutual respect, despite some issues in the past.
I am setting out for big goals. I'm going to kickstart UFC's 2020 year big, and I'm going to continue it. You know, it's going to be a mega year here at the UFC and at McGregor Sports and Entertainment, you know that.
The fight was held in the welterweight division. McGregor entered the octagon and made history once again. It took him 40 seconds to knock out the number 5 ranked fighter in Donald Cerrone and become the first one to score a knockout in 3 different weight classes inside the UFC.
God willing, I came out of here unscathed. I'm in shape. I don't believe I'm there yet though, you know, I just still got work to do to get back to where I was. So I'm going to party tonight, celebrate, spend time with my family, and then get back in the gym and train. And any one of these little mouthy fools can get it. Even that little fool at the desk, all of them, every single one of them get it, Joe. It does not matter. I'm back and I'm ready. Look at that fool in his blading house coat, this stupid tick.
I did come out and I let that left hand go from the chamber. The force of him dipping and me connecting with him with my hip even was a shot in itself.
Despite a rather promising statement and good performance, the Irishman was not in a hurry for the next fight. Overall, the whole next year was quite weird for the Notorious. After beating Donald Cerrone, McGregor was absent from the media for a while. Then there were strange tweets and news that Conor plans to fight Diego Sanchez. Some kind of confusion and nothing specific once again. After that, the Irishman announced his fight with Manny Pacquiao. But again, there was no real movement in this direction. But McGregor went further. He offered Dustin Poirier a charity fight outside of the UFC. Diamond agreed, but Dana White didn't want to be left on the sidelines. Soon, the world's best league took control over this idea. As a result, McGregor's next appearance happened exactly a year later. In January of 2021, the Notorious shared the cage with Dustin Poirier at UFC 257.
My love for the game, my love for competition, my love for combat. You know, Dustin has put on an incredible run since our last fight. It's been a long time coming. Yes, I did get the win over him the first time.
But you know, he's rose right up, and he's back up there at the top of the division. So I'm excited to go and compete with him again.
Prior to this fight, McGregor also avoided trash talk. He was respectful, focused, and ready to fight.
I have a million shots. I've so many weapons in my arsenal, and you know, they're all fine-tuned at this time. I'm in a phenomenal place, and I look forward to getting out and showcasing, you know, painting my picture and putting on a beautiful performance for the fans around the world.
The fight happened during the pandemic, and there were not many fans in the building. But even without a huge support from the crowd, the Irishman delivered a very good performance. He was in a great physical shape, landed precise shots, and was confident in his actions. But as history shows, a long layoff reminds of itself. In the first fight, the Irishman was levels above Dustin in the octagon. However, in the rematch, Diamond outplayed Conor in his own field. He put a great work in the stand-up and used calf kicks, and overall did what had to be done to get the win over such a dangerous striker like McGregor. And he won. Second round stoppage. This event was a sensation in the MMA community. Poirier paid Conor back and avenged an old loss in the same fashion.
The highest highs and the lowest lows in this game. My leg is completely dead, and even though I felt like I was checking them, it was just sinking into the front, the muscle at the front of the leg, and it was badly compromised. And it's like an American football in me suit at the minute. So, you know, it is what it is. Dustin fought a hell of a fight.
The Irishman's last fight took place on July the 10th at UFC 264. He shared the octagon with Dustin Poirier again, but this time the energy prior to this vivid trilogy was dramatically different in comparison to the previous two. Now McGregor translated uncovered hate towards Diamond, and all because of the fact that the Notorious gave Poirier respect that he does charity, and promised to donate $500,000 to his organization after the fight. News about the Irishman's knockout exploded on the internet. The guys broke up with respect, almost 3 months apart, and money was not received. Eventually, Diamond posted about that on his Twitter. McGregor's reaction was immediate. A donation, not a debt. We've been awaiting the plans for the money that never came. I do it with all my donations. Know where it's going dot for dot. Otherwise it goes walking. As it is the case with a lot of these foundations, sadly, you took the McG over, the belt shows I was right. Later, the Irishman posted a couple more tweets where he openly insulted Dustin and his family, but right now all these messages are deleted. For some period of time, this fight was even on the verge of being cancelled, but UFC managed to settle it down and the tournament came to fruition.
Nah, not anymore. For me, the aura's not there anymore. Very dangerous fighter sitting right here for sure, no doubt. But I see a man, you know, you guys in the crowd, cheer it up, have fun. But I see a man here in front of me that I defeated, and I know I can defeat again. Nah, straight business, man. This is you're only a little. Your wife is your husband. This is my bread and butter. This is what, you know, wakes me up in the morning with fire in my belly. You know, errors to correct, tactics to prepare for. So I've had a great camp, a great focus on the opponent, on the skills. What? Throwing dick kicks this time. Yeah, shut your mouth, you little fool. I'm gonna dance on your head.
Joe, in 16 hours time, this man is gonna learn that if you disrespect a person's kindness and take it as a weakness, you must pay. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna make this man pay with his life, and I mean it. You're dead in that octagon tomorrow night.
The Irishman began to prove the seriousness of his intentions from the very first seconds. He threw a spinning kick right from the bell, and then landed a couple of front and low kicks. Conor took the first minute, while Poirier was backing up for the most part. Soon, fighters delivered a spectacular exchange on the feet. Dustin figured that Conor is fresh and didn't want to mess with him in the stand-up. he decided to force wrestling, and that plan partially worked. We witnessed tough resistance from both sides. At the end of the round, the fighters got back to their feet. Conor tried to land a left and then suddenly fell down and found himself backed at the fence. At first it seemed like his fall was due to a strike. Poirier immediately rushed at the Irishman and stunned him with a couple of punches, and McGregor didn't come out for the second round. It could be seen on the replay that Conor went down because of the injury. His leg moved while he tried to throw a left. As a result, it had an unnatural twist which looked really terrifying. There are almost no doubts that the Irishman had a fracture. Prior to the announcement, McGregor was sitting in his corner insisting that it should be ruled as a doctor's stoppage and continuing to insult Dustin's family.
This is not over. If we have to take this outside with him, it's all outside. We don't give a bollocks.
Epilogue. What can be said? A rather tragic ending of the fight and perhaps of the whole career. Right now, the legendary Irishman spends time as he pleases. He travels with his family, trains, and according to rumors, prepares to be featured in a movie. Entertaining pastime. Moreover, he put himself on this level. Basically, he doesn't need to prove anything from a professional standpoint. He conquered the height, achieved all his goals, and fulfilled all of his dreams. It really depends on him if it's really the end, or we will see magic from the Irishman in the octagon once again. Leave your opinion about the notorious Conor McGregor in the comments below. Please tell us how you perceive this impudent Irishman. Do you see a hero or a villain? A true role model or a regular upstart with showman talents? An ordinary town guy who escaped from poverty with hard work, support of his close ones and discipline? Or an average fighter who just got lucky to be in the right place at the right time? Either way, no matter what you write and what opinion you have, you can't deny one fact. This guy put mixed martial arts on a whole different level. He made an enormous contribution in this sport and developed it to an unbelievable scale. Sure, his persona is quite controversial and in some respects ambiguous, but nobody is in the right to belittle his achievements. Every self-respected fan or a fighter has to reckon with his figure, because such people appear in this sport once every couple of decades, if not more rarely. And that's it for today. See you soon.
I've lost my mind doing this game, yeah? Like Vincent van Gogh. He dedicated his life to his art and lost his mind in the process. That's happened to me. But when that gold belt was around my waist, when my mother has a big mansion, when my girlfriend has a different car for every day of the week, when my kids have everything they ever want, then it will pay. Then I'm happy I lost my mind. Yeah? I'll die a crazy old man.